the Tuskegee Airmen were the first black pilots in American military service. There were black civilian pilots before that. But before the Tuskegee Airmen, there were no black pilots in American military service. And the environment they came out of was very racist, of course. After World War I, the War College of the Army in Washington had what they called a study, but it was really just a report about the performance of black soldiers in World War I, and it was very derogatory, and it contributed to the idea that blacks were not qualified to serve in certain positions in the Army. They had never been pilots in the American Armed Forces, in the Air Service in World War I, or in the Air Corps after World War I. And of course, the Army Air Forces grew out of the Air Corps, which started in 1926. The Army decided to start training black pilots because of Franklin D. Roosevelt. He made a promise in 1940 that he would actually start training black pilots for service with the Air Corps. And he fulfilled his promise in 1941. The Tuskegee Airmen experience actually started in Tuskegee, with the pilot training starting with primary flight training at Moton Field, which is now the Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site. And then they moved to basic and advanced flight training at Tuskegee Army Airfield, which was a much larger airfield a little bit to the northwest.
So it's twofold here. So first you have, as you detailed, the American military, the brass coming around to even wanting or allowing black pilots. But then you have, why would these black pilots even want to serve and fight for this nation that treated them so poorly? What was in it for them? What motivated these men?
That's a question a lot of the Tuskegee Airmen faced or asked themselves. And that question came up in a lot of their autobiographies. I have several of the autobiographies of Tuskegee Airmen, and I've met a lot of them. I've been to 8 of their national conventions. The Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated is still an organization of black veteran pilots, not only Tuskegee Airmen, but also their supporters. And I've been to 8 of their conventions. And a lot of the Tuskegee Airmen wanted to serve because they were inspired by Charles Lindbergh and other pilots, other aviators, even black aviators such as Bessie Coleman, who was a black female pilot in the 1920s. And they wanted to fly, but they also wanted to serve their country. Of course, when Pearl Harbor was attacked in the end of 1941, the Tuskegee Airmen were already training for military flight training at Tuskegee. The first pilots didn't actually graduate, though, from flight training until March of 1942, even though they started training in the middle of 1941. But they wanted to serve their country and they wanted to fly. And I think those outweighed the idea that they didn't want to serve a country that didn't treat them as first-class citizens. They looked at it, some of them looked at it as an opportunity to show what they could do and to show that they could be just as useful to the war effort as any of the white soldiers.
Wow, that was deep and insightful. I want more of that. Like, subscribe, get more.